Hello, my brothers. This is Brother Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier 4D. Peace and blessings to you all. I'm going to go with part 5 of the snare of the fowler. The fowler being the hunter, the person that devises wickedness. It could be Satan setting traps to catch you spiritually. It could be a wicked system. It could be a wicked woman setting you. But this message is to my brothers, my African brothers who are hemmed up and are feel like they're in a tightrope, or walking a tightrope in a straitjacket where the life is like you can't really do all this without getting yourself caught up into some kind of trouble. You see, there's a lot of brothers with money, like celebrities with money, that are in a lot of trouble, and the things that they're in trouble with are a lot of them are moral choices of moral code. They're not even preachers, and they still getting torn apart about their moral choices. No matter how many times people try to say that you can have your own sexual orientation, where men be messing with men and women be messing with women, it doesn't matter. Your character still is going to be looked at by your moral choices and the things that you struggle with. People are going to know us by our fruit. People are going to be able to judge us by the fruit that we have. I personally do not like following the leadership of soft men. I do not. Humble men and men that have passion, that's fine. But soft men that are soft to a system that has undermined his race, Women, same with the women. I definitely don't follow no woman that is subservient to something like that. Now, there are some women out there that I do admire. There's one that's on the scene right now, and she's a doctor. She used to work with the United Nations. I think it's Ariane. I believe it's Ariane. I can't get the whole name. I really enjoy listening to her. Now, sister like that. She's speaking out for the case of Africa. She's going bigger than just local stuff. I mean, national. She's going international. Her and that other sister. It was on the top of my head, but I can. But she's deceased now. Winnie Mandela. Winnie Mandela. She's on. To me, she's on task. And I admire that. What they're trying to do. I admire it. Sisters, no disrespect, but our brothers really need to be about the Father's business. We really need to be taking the lead in this. I just don't think that it is fair to our women for these brothers to sit up with all this muscle mass, testosterone that God has given them, and they got the women out front. What kind of man would have his woman out front? What kind of man would have his mother out front leading his people? There's a woman named Ya Satawa that was out of the Ghana history books that stood in it. I had no problem with what Ya Satawa did. She did what she did. She had to do at the time, and I admire that. But when I meet a woman, I want a woman to be supportive of her men. I want her to have him to take that lead and do what he's supposed to, because God has put him in that position to do that. He's not supposed to be the tail. He's supposed to be the head. And some of you women that can't handle that, I'm not talking to you. I'm not interested in you. I'm not interested in doing anything with you. I'm not even interested in being on a platform with you. I'm not interested in women that have a penis. They're trying to have testicle. I'm not interested in that. I'm not even interested in you leading me. I'm not interested in no lesbians leading me. That is not. We need to be about saving our people. And if you are doing that, you do it in your own platform. You do it in your own way. But I'm not following you. I'm not following no lesbian. I'm not following no homosexual if I know that you are in that. If you keep that to yourself and you're private and you are strong, you know, you're doing something that you think needs to be done and you're not trying to impose that stuff on people and you're keeping that's your thing, then go on and fight. That's all I can say. But I'm interested in our brothers staying with God and trying to be the men that God has called them to be. Do not compromise any of your masculinity. Do not compromise any of your integrity. And be a strong, grounded man. And if the world don't like you, if the women don't like you, then you just be God's man. Because if you look at those stories in the Bible and look at what Jezebel did to prophet Elijah, and look at what the woman that Herod was messing with, her daughter, what they did to John the Baptist, took that brother's head off, man. She could have had anything to half of the kingdom, and she chose to take that prophet's head off. And Jesus said that he was one of the greatest prophets of all prophets that ever came because he foretold the coming of the Messiah. So, you know, a woman calls for that brother's head to be taken off. That lets you know how predatory these sisters, these women can be. And then you look at Adam. You know, he set up, everything was set up as she listened according to the scriptures, and that's what happened, okay? Now, you know, you look at Samson, Delilah. You know, this dude liked foreign women. He liked women that he wasn't supposed to be dealing with, and they took him down, okay, through his woman. So you have those out there. And we're not going to put women up on a pedestal all the time that they got the best interest of their man at heart, because some of them don't. But we would hope that they do. And I'm bringing this all to say that these brothers are going to be attacked. This is your survival. Your job is to see to it that Negro gets out there and does what he's supposed to be doing for his people, and what he's supposed to be doing for his family, and what he's supposed to be doing for his children, what he's supposed to be doing for his village, what he's supposed to be doing for his race, what he's supposed to be doing for the whole society. Because when he helps his own, he's helping the greater society as well. Even the Europeans and stuff. He's speaking on behalf of his people in order to make it harmonize for all people. And that's his job as a man. And many other titles that fall under that. It's to be a father, the uncle, the nephew, the son. There's a lot of titles that we have, a lot of hats we have to wear. But the ultimate thing is he's the man. If he's a pastor of a church, he should be running that church, not her. Not the second woman. Or what do you call her? The first lady. No. I don't see that anywhere in the scriptures. Okay? So the woman's place is supposed to be supporting the man. Now, not all women going to have a husband. So in that situation, there's you have to decide how you're going to deal with that. But most of those women came in here through fathers. All the women came in by having some kind of father. Some kind of biological male got you in here. So you still may not be a wife, but the man has his role by God. And you know, I want to also, on that note, I want to bring up something about the Hebrew language and the Aramaic language. A lot of times those particular languages, they have male and female verbs and male and female nouns and all of that you have to use to identify people, and the language is strictly made to address males and address female. In English, we don't have that. But in those languages, we do. So when God identifies himself as he created he, them, male and female created he, them, when he is the deliverer, our Lord, God is ascribing to himself male attributes. He might use the word for feminine wisdom. He might call wisdom, she cried at the gate, or he may like use the feminine for those other things. But for the God of creation, the God as protector, God of provider, he always ascribes that usually to the masculine side. So women, you know, you're not just a man just because you have a penis, and that means that he can do this, and that. No, no, no. It's a calling. Nature has equipped men to fulfill a certain call by God, the Creator, and he has equipped women to fulfill a certain call. And when a woman operates in her main function, a man operates in his main function, you got dynamite, that you got something powerful. But if a man is operating outside of his calling of what nature has called him for, a woman is operating outside of that, you got chaos, you got problems, you got confusion. And you're going to confuse mainly the young. So we have to safeguard our young from this foolishness of these people today, because they're crossing over into things that totally are against nature, and they need to be checked for it. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So we're talking about the snare of the fowler. The snare of the fowler, as all these are devices that the enemy uses to distract us, whether we have gender wars, or whether we have racial wars, or whether we have estate wars. These are devices of the enemy to cause division and to cause us to be divided, and to empower him for his wrong agenda that he's trying to uphold. One of the biggest things that I noticed that the oppressor, or that the fowler, the ensnarer does, is try to keep you indefensible. That means the inability to defend yourself. Most of the blacks, Africans that were lynched back in the days, recorded or unrecorded, off the record or on the record, were defenseless. They had no ability to defend themselves. They were kept defenseless so that they could be easily attacked. It wasn't a equal battleground where man for man, he's got rifle, you got rifle. You're always outnumbered, so that's why you always seem like you're inferior, and that's always why you're going to always seem like you're the prey, because you're outnumbered. It's situational advantage. They already have they're on home turf. They're in their camp. You in his camp. So a lot of times you're not going to win, because the situation is, unless there's a God that, like Gideon, the story of Gideon, when he had only 300 men out of 10,000, only 300 were chose to fight the battle. If I'm not mistaken, I'm just going off the top of my head. And he got rid of many of the men who were a certain way. God just said, I can't use these guys that lay on their belly and they lap water. Only the ones that sit on their knee. And I can't use the ones that has problems here and with this woman here. Sit them aside. And then Gideon said, man, I only have 300. He said, that's all you need is the ones that's got the right mindset to do this. Because all those other guys, useless. So he went from 10,000, I think, down to 300 misfits to fight, and still won that battle. So they keep you indefensible. If you got something like that, maybe God come through. But for the most part, you're indefensible. You're outnumbered, and so it can only be God to help you get through something like that. When you see all those lynchings, that's because they were indefensible. You see a man constantly getting picked off, sniped, or whatever, they have situational advantage. So the thing that we have to decide how we're going to deal with this is we got to fight this, but we're going to have to decide what's the best way to go for the generations to come. And if separation should not be something that's off the table, separation should be on the table. National separation should be on the table. And if you want to keep going into a society like this, you're going to keep getting fed on by the wolf. You're going to keep getting problems. And then you got the political agitators, which is of your own race, who are going to sit up and tell you what you're complaining and crying about. And they're going to continually help the enemy subdue you, keep you into that bondage. This is part 5 of the Snare the Fowler. I have to go. I have to close here. Peace, love, Hotep.